Cal two crashed into a black Tesla. Got the money, blue jaw, registry.
That was a dope promo video that we got to watch. But guess what? You know, when I got the split screen, I got somebody special. So I got the owner of Corey Collection. Welcome to the family, girl.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, anytime. So please introduce yourself again. Tell us how we can reach you online and kind of what your business entails.
Okay, my name is Courtney Matthews. The name of my clothing line is Corey Collection. It is a streetwear urban clothing line. You can find me on Instagram at corey.collection. Also, my website is coreycollection.myshopify.com, but you can also get that in the bio section of Instagram. To get into the video that was just shown, Lost Angels. That was really created from a spiritual journey of mine. I feel like we're all lost in this world, just trying to find our way. Lost Angels. Also, throughout college, I love going to Miami and LA. They all say that, you know, Los Angeles is the city of Los Angels. So many people go there looking to find their way out or find their way, and you know, they get lost along the way. So it's just kind of a play on that. This piece that I have on right here is Imperfect Angel, and the inscription is purposely imperfect, just representing how, you know, everybody's imperfect. And again, we're all just trying to find our way in this world, however that looks for anybody, right? And another one of my pieces, it's another Los Angels. This is a Dodger colorway. So it says Los Angels, and on the bottom, it says I was lost. And on the back, there's Los Angels across the shoulder, and then it says, but now I'm found on the bottom. And these pieces can be found on my website, also again on my Instagram at corey.collection.
How long you been in business and, you know, kind of turned this in from a passion to a money-making stream of income?
I've been in business since 2017, 18. I kind of find a passion. I love fashion for one. And I like living on the edge and, you know, just wearing edgy pieces. So I'm one of those people that, you know, back in 2018, that's when people really started to create their own brands. And I'm one of those people that are like, you know what? I have a love for fashion. If they can do it, I can do it too. So, I mean, I just really dug in deep, looking for manufacturers, trying to find, you know, what manufacturer fit the criteria that I wanted for my line. And I just kind of went from there. My line represents pretty much how I feel, right? So I wanted to be different. And I know as an individual that I am different. So for instance, one of my first personal lines, my first lines that I made was just kind of like a, I guess you would say a tribute to Carl Kanai. I love Carl Kanai growing up. So if you look on my page, you'll see, you know, the signature Corey, just kind of how Carl Kanai had his. So it's kind of like a tribute to him because that's somebody that I loved growing up. So just did that. Then I moved to Drip the Rainbow. Drip the Rainbow was something because I love Skittles growing up. So I'm like, you know, you know, let me make a line of, you know, dope joggers. And this is like different colors of that. After that, I was going through a time in life where I felt like I had to find a peace of mind. And I love music. And a lot of my pieces, you'll see that I pay tribute to artists that I've loved and, you know, grew up on. So I love Lauryn Hill and I love A$AP Rocky. Her song, you know, Find Peace of Mind, it got me through my trying times. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like, you know, a lot of people go through stuff. And, you know, people always want to everybody's trying to find a peace of mind at least one time in their life, right? Or more than once. So I'm like, you know what? My line, I wanted to be meaningful, right? So that was one of those lines where I'm like, you know what? I put that out. You can also see that on my site. Those pieces are sold out, unfortunately. But honestly, like my line is just fun. It represents me through music, through life trials. I just kind of translate that into clothing.
I like that. And fun fact, Lauren Hill, she's from like Irvington, East Orange area, so she went to school
Mm.
with one of my aunts.
Oh, nice. That's dope.
Yeah.
I love me some Lauryn Hill.
Yeah,
She's got me through some times.
yes, indeed. So you kind of spoke to it a little bit, but kind of when you're going through your entrepreneurial journey, kind of why clothing and what was some of, I guess, the passions behind you kind of spoke to like music and just things that inspired you. But
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, sometimes people have a calling, kind of what was your journey from turning it into a passion and then to
Mhm.
an income?
Really, honestly, it started off as just like I said, something I just wanted to do, right? And I just, okay, I'll make this piece. And then I started wearing it, and people actually were just like, you know what, do you sell those? And I'm like, is that for sale? I'm like, it's my brand, but no, it's not for sale. It was literally just art and me expressing myself because, like I told you, I love fashion. So I was just like, and then honestly, with more people, demanding, I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make this a thing. And so for example, I love Lil Kim. Even though I probably shouldn't have listened to her when I was growing up, but who didn't, right? But these are one of the shirts that I did of her. And then on the back, it says, keep your stone says I got my own baguettes. Because I be doing things that you won't regret. Y'all remember that song? So yeah, that was one of my music tributes. Lil Kim. So I have and everything is limited in stock. There's no restocks. It's limited. I want my customers to feel exclusive. So I'm not really in it for the money. Like I said, it was art. So, I may only make 30 shirts. I may only make, you know, 40 jackets or something like that. It's really not about the money with me. It's about the art and just the love of what I put into my clothing and the thought process behind it.
I love that. Well, that makes it even kind of more exclusive. It's like Jordans, the first day they drop, they're gonna sell out. So that's kind of, the vibes you get with your clothing. That's good to hear.
Mhm.
But with the journey of business, I know it's always going to be some lumps, some trials, some setbacks. So kind of speak to some of those things that you had to go through and then how you're going to persevere and kind of move forward even better.
So one thing when entering, this industry, you have to really decide uh how you want to go about producing. Some people, they buy wholesale and they, do the embroidery or they do the circuit and just, heat press, and that's totally fine. The route that I chose to take was manufacturing, right, which is a expensive route. If back in 2018 I did have that option, but I was like, like I told you, if that person can do it, then I can do it. So finding a manufacturer can be very expensive, but it's very important that you do find that right one. So you want to spend that time to get samples made, right? You don't always want to go by what somebody else says, what somebody else's work looks like. You want to see how your work is going to look through that manufacturer. So don't try to skip and say, oh, okay, well, this person sold me their source, so I'm just going to order 50. And, don't do that because it can get you into a world of lost money. Spend that money, get your samples from different manufacturers because different manufacturers also don't produce the same quality in everything, right? So I have different manufacturers for different things like shirts, hoodies, pants. You just have to take time and really put that into your brand because at the end of the day, I mean, I know a lot of you out there have experienced it where somebody will upcharge $70 for a shirt and you're like, you get it, you're like, wow, this is Gildan. Or wow, where did they get this from? So you really want to put that time into finding a good source and finding, someone who produces great quality for your customers. So that can be one of those things that you can fall, victim to, but just don't try to rush into it because people rush into it so many times. They get into these companies that have a minimum quantity of 50 or 100 and they buy all this stuff and they get it and it's like, man, I can't even get my money back,
Uh,
right? But if you had went the route of getting a sample first, you would have seen how this company rolls. You know what I'm saying? Like you would say, okay, they have good quality, or guess what? I can work with them. I will also suggest that you go for a company or a manufacturer that doesn't have any minimum quantities that needs to be purchased. So most of those are like in the Pakistan area. Of course, China, they have minimum quantities of like 100. And like if you're starting off, a lot of people do that. They think, okay, China, I don't need 50 shirts, but I need to get all this money to do. No, you don't. Pakistan area, they have great manufacturers and they don't have a minimum quantity. A
okay.
lot of people won't tell you that, but
Now we know. Now we know.
Yeah,
That's the game. You could waste a
yeah.
lot of money on the front end, and then that could kind of kill your dream. Maybe just from a financial aspect. Now you don't have the bread to kind of continue your journey just because you kind of rushed into stuff instead of doing your research. So that's good.
Yeah.
Free
And
game.
another great source is Instagram. You can go into Instagram and put in clothing manufacturers or, Pakistan manufacturers, and you can just look at their work on Instagram and contact them on Instagram and say, you know what, okay, just send me a blank t-shirt made out of this material, that material, and just work from there. You don't have to sit here and listen to somebody's course only for them to charge you $500 for, something that you really could have done yourself and it wouldn't have took you that long to do.
No, that makes sense. So I know you're a busy lady. So one last question for you. What would be one piece of advice you'd give to somebody who's got kind of a passion or a skill or a talent and they want to kind of turn it into a stream of income?
Like I said, take your time, pray on it. Like I'm really big with my spirituality and religion, like pray, wait on it. You sit down, you get a plan, you pray on it, and you just really go for it and you do it. I mean, because we see so many times we let life pass us by. We have all these great ideas and we just sit on it and say, okay, I'm gonna do it next week. I'm gonna do it 2 weeks from now. You don't have to have money or validation from anybody to start anything. You can start doing your research. That costs nothing. You don't have to wait till you have, I don't know, $2,000 just to get that bulk order. You can start off, like I said, getting a sample or whatever, industry or whatever you want to do. Just start off with the basics and actually go for it. Because before you knew it, time will go by or you'll see somebody else come out with the same idea that you thought of or something similar. So honestly, just pray and go for it. Because what's the worst thing that happen? It doesn't go through. That's totally fine. At least you know you did it, so you don't have to live life saying, I woulda, coulda, shoulda.
That's true. That's true. Sometimes we're our biggest obstacle, just our own reservations. So one last time, girl, where can we find you online? Tell the
Instagram at Corey.collection, and my website is in the bio part, which is CoreyCollection.myshopify.com.
okay. Thank you again. Appreciate your time, and I will see
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Bye, guys.